Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Game Club. This month we are playing Superliminal. We have been playing Superliminal. I'm your host, Boston, playing this on the PS5, joined as always by Moonpeer.
Hi, Xbox Series X. Will be playing Superliminal,
That's
Perception is
right.
Reality, etc.,
That's right.
etc.
We've been playing it forever. And also Musum.
Xbox Series X.
Let's get into the deets about this game. Released November 12th, 2019. Developed and published by Pillow Castle Games. This came out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, PC, OS X, and Linux. How do we describe Superliminal? I think I've seen most people describe it as a forced perspective puzzle game.
That probably is about the best description you can come up with.
Yeah.
I don't want to use the term mind F in a situation where we can't.
Right. It's a lot of lining things up to make certain things appear, or making objects larger or smaller than they should be because of how far away they are from you. So like a lot of perspective changing and manipulation in this game, kind of overall. I think it's probably the short term for it.
Yeah.
Let's do time travel here. Metacritic 74, OpenCritic 75, peers for the release date. Hey, we've got a lot of them here. And that's the PC release date, to be clear. Death Stranding came out on PS4. Pokemon Sword and Shield. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. The Stadia came out at this time on PC.
R.I.P. Stadia.
R.I.P. Stadia. Life is Strange 2, Episode 5, Wolves. So that was the end of Life is Strange 2. So really, the final twist of the knife in your back came out that time.
Go check out the Game Club episode on that game, just saying.
Yeah, it's just real. That was a rough one. Also, another Game Club episode, Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York. So it's released then. And then the original release of The Outer Worlds. That came out at the same time.
Not Wilds.
Not Wilds,
correct?
Worlds. Yes, correct.
Okay.
All right, let's ask the question we ask every month. Top of the pile, middle of the pack, or overlooked?
Overlooked? I didn't hear about this game until like a year ago, dude.
Middle of the pile for me, actually. I've heard about it for a while. I had a friend who felt it was a ripoff of another puzzle game that I cannot for the life of me remember the name of.
Probably Maquette.
Is it Maquette?
The game I thought this game was. I was like, yeah, let's play Superliminal. I've seen that with the castle and the big and small things. Yeah, sure. And it's like, oh, that's not Maquette. Okay. Yeah. I think it's middle of the pack for me because I feel like I heard people talk about this quite a bit, but it wasn't. I don't think it was on release. I think the conversation was getting louder and louder the further away we're getting from the release, where I think more people are playing it and more people are trying it and saying like, this is a cool like kind of puzzle thing that you might enjoy playing. But I don't think it was a huge hit when it came out. It reviewed well as we saw, but I don't think it was the biggest game here. All right, let's get into the game itself. What we liked, what we didn't like, who would like to force their perspective on the rest of us.
I hate you. I have a question for you, Boston.
Yes.
How sick did you get?
There was only one room where I can. So if anyone hasn't been listening for a long time, I have a really hard time where the camera is like kind of spinning, or suddenly you're like you go through a door and you're on the ceiling and not on the floor when you went into a door on the floor. Like changing the direction you're in very quickly really messes with me. I was okay for 99% of this game. There was one sequence very close to the end of the game where you like walk off a cliff and you like the camera changes and you fall through something and the camera flips, and it flips like 2 or 3 times back to back, and I was just like, oh, I can't do this. Whoa, goodness. Thankfully it was very short, but That was the only one scene, thankfully.
Okay. So at least it wasn't too bad, because there's a couple of moments where, I'm not gonna lie, it got me a little bit.
There was a hallway I remember that got me a bit. It was like, whew, I hope this isn't long, because it was like they were playing some sort of like pattern video on the walls as you walked through the hallway. That was
the floor was stable, which helped me. Like, the floor didn't move, but the other 3 walls were just. And I was looking through. I was like, I just look at the floor. You get through it quickly. Thankfully, it was short.
Yeah.
I've been trying to think about how the heck to talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little difficult, partially because, like, okay, let's go with disappointments. I'm disappointed by the story in this game. I genuinely am.
I think it ended in a better way than I was expecting. I was disappointed.
But for the record, I did not finish this game. I'm like spitting distance away from the finish line, so I haven't seen a final cutscene or resolution or whatever. But there is just nowhere near enough story in like everything I've played so far.
I think I didn't think the story came together until the last chapter, where you're unraveling back through the game, and the game's it's like thesis statement is kind of laid at your feet of like, dreams are great, but you should kind of dream the life that you want. Like, use these as positive things to propel yourself to a better life, as opposed to kind of trapping yourself in like disappointments or whatever. I thought that was really good, but like through most of the game, I was trying not to treat it like a Portal ripoff, because it's really not. But every time I'm running into one of the like boom boxes and I'm interacting with them, there's like 2 or 3 voice lines. I was like, this is okay, but like I feel like it's not building to anything. I feel like it's just like making a different joke every chapter, and every chapter is just like a different type of puzzle. Like, where are we going with this, if anywhere?
Yeah, I don't know that I cared that much for the story. I like the ultimate point in it, but I don't know. I really love this game, like, to be blunt. Like, and I don't love it for the dialogue sets. I love it for just the creativity in puzzles and how well it taught me how to do the puzzles. Like, I was rarely stuck more than a couple minutes, and I was never stuck for more than like 20 minutes, you know?
So with puzzle games, like, I'm right in the middle. Like, I love a puzzle game I can figure out. Like, makes me feel special and smart, like a good little boy. I hate puzzle games that make me start Googling some stuff. Because it's just like, now I'm just an idiot. I think this game, ironically enough, is also right in the middle. Where 99.9% of the time, I was like, oh, okay, I got this. This is cool. I like the conception here. Like, the doors inside of the chest puzzle, and you had to put the door out of the keyhole to get outside of the chest and then start making it bigger again. I thought that was genius. For the life of me, I could not figure out the red apple and the fan problem.
No, I couldn't either.
Like, and the worst part is when you know the quote-unquote real solution, that is so simple. It's one of the simplest puzzles in the game.
Of course, I just line it up differently. Okay. Like, I agree with you. I really liked a lot of this game. I went in not pessimistically, but sort of like, okay, like, I feel like we're doing the like test chamber Portal thing. That's unfair, you know, to be fair. But like, the deeper I got into it, and the more, I think the game struck a really nice balance between like, oh, okay, now I know the rules of this chapter. Now I have just enough puzzles to kind of bend my brain in a fun way, but it's never that thing that sometimes puzzle games get into where it's like, all right, I would have been happy 3 puzzles ago ending up, these are too hard. Like, I never really felt like that. I did have to look up a couple of them. Like the one where you picked up the tiny building you're in and then backed up the doorway into another one to make like an infinity mirror thing. Would have never figured that out by myself. But like, that's okay because my brain just doesn't bend that way. Like I wouldn't have, when I looked up the solution, I was like, okay, I wasn't anywhere close. That's fine. Like I'm not upset about that. But I did really like playing with the world and being like, okay, what's the twist in this one? Like, oh, now I'm just cloning items. Oh, okay, that's pretty fun. Oh, now I need to use light sources to kind of show my way through this. All right, that's fun. And like, you get just enough puzzles to be like, that was cool. Ooh, a new mechanic. I liked that.
So one aspect of the level design that helped me a lot, because I didn't, go back and listen to all our puzzle games. I didn't finish a single one. I stuck constantly where these guys did. I did not have to Google a single puzzle in this game, miraculously.
Nice.
But one of the things...
Do you think that's part of you, like your brain being musically minded and mine and his not being? Like, do you think this potentially is a part of this specific type of game's puzzles where it for lack of a better phrase, it has a flow to it. It has a feel and a vibe to it. It's not logic-based puzzles where it's like, oh, if I do X, then Y happens. It's more feeling your way around a situation. Like, do you think that's potentially one of the reasons why this clicked with you a lot more than potentially something that's more like maths-based or something like that?
Let me digest that one a minute. Because like previously I was attributing it to all the puzzles are... Generally, you start a new puzzle and you walk through a door that won't let you take objects through it. So you know everything you have to solve is in this one area. And by the end of the game, it turned into, this game just wants me to experiment with it. Like, it doesn't necessarily... I mean, I think that's what the puzzle, like early on in the game, you're in a room, you can't really interact with anything. You're like, what in the world's going on? And you look in the skylight, and if you're like me, then you don't see anything in the skylight and you don't think anything of it. And then 10 minutes later, I look in the skylight and wait, can I grab the moon?
Right.
And
yes, that one tripped me up. I'm like I'm not creative or experimental enough to be like, yeah, I'm gonna grab the moon. Sure, why not?
Honestly, I was looking for things that my cursor would interact with. It is like a process of elimination thing for me. I'm like, there's literally nothing else I can click on here. What am I missing?
Right.
And
did you guys catch it when the cursor changed to a little smiley face too? Like at certain sections?
No.
I don't think I did.
It's like it doesn't change the outline, like it doesn't change the size of it. It just turns into 2 dots on the bottom half of a smiley face. I was like, what's going on? Okay, sure, why not? I guess.
Right. It's I don't know, man. Like the one where you have to take the one you described a minute ago, Boston, where you take the house through its own door. That one was I have no idea what I'm supposed to do here. What haven't I tried doing? Oh, wait, can I do that? Does that? Right. Oh, that's exactly what I needed to do. It was less I found a solution and more I'm going to try this one thing I haven't tried. So I don't know. Maybe it is more like a creativity thing, or maybe it's just me living my life by, process of elimination.
Right.
Right. But I really love that game. The fact that they seclude all their puzzles helped me immensely. And in several of the puzzles, like, again, I just kind of stumbled on the answer because it's like, well, can't do anything else, so I'm going to try this. Oh, it's letting me duplicate stuff. How far can I take this? Oh, I can. Oh, I got an achievement. I must have.
I duplicated too many things.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one with the keyhole, like that one, that was mechanically difficult for me.
Yes.
That was very difficult to line up and get the sizes right, and there were one or two where I shrank myself where I didn't need to. But I don't know.
I think my only frustration with the game is you could hold a button and rotate an item, and I thought that was super useful. But sometimes I just needed to hold a button
It only
and
rotates on one axis.
Right. And sometimes I just needed to like push it a little bit further away from me or pull it closer to me a little bit without having to like look up and look down and set it down and pick it up and like move back and forth. Like sometimes I just wanted to like push this away a little bit or pull it. Like because there isn't that option there, I'm assuming that that's by design. But sometimes I'm like, I just need this to be a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, or like that keyhole one. It's like, I know what I need to do. I feel like I'm running all over this box to like get it to the right position to do the thing, and like I need a little bit of help here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Like that would have been very helpful. There were many times where I'm just like and I feel like sometimes I'd pick up an object and it wouldn't let me rotate it, and I couldn't figure out why.
Right.
Right. But it's, some of the later levels in particular on Xbox Series X just were not particularly optimized well, so you'd have some like serious frame rate drops. It didn't get down to like single digits.
I had one or two.
It got down enough where I noticed it, and I never noticed that stuff. So,
right.
It didn't necessarily take me out of the experience. But also, speaking of music, there's not a lot of music in the game, but man, when it kicks in, oh my gosh, the music in this game is good.
It's very good. It's a very good combo of the score written for the game and the voice acting. I think they struck a really good balance between both of those working in concert really well.
Yeah, the Doctor had a very soothing voice.
He did. Yeah,
it's
a very good narrator voice.
100% reminded me of the theme hospital, 2 Point Hospital Doctor's voice, like the intro Doctor sequence voice, like
right.
Such that vibe of voice. I was like, whoa.
I was mostly thinking of Thomas Was Alone, this kind of like relaxing,
that too.
Kind of relaxing narrator voice of like, yeah, it's gonna be okay. Nope, it's not okay. I'm in a black and white world. Yeah.
Yup.
Yeah. The hard part about this game is I also did like it, but I'm not entirely sure how much I can talk about it, because a lot of it is, here's a cool mechanic, and you're gonna figure out 5 to 7 puzzles using that mechanic, and you're gonna go to another area and have another 5 to 7 puzzles, and then the second to last chapter doesn't have any puzzles in it, but like the second to last chapter, you're gonna kind of bring a lot of those together in that kind of black and white world, or that nightmare tunnel area. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward in a way that I think is a strength of a lot of these puzzle games, of just like, yeah, we have 5 or 6 different mechanics, we have kind of a cohesive world, and we put together a 2 to 3 hour puzzle game, and it doesn't need to be more than that, and I think that's cool.
Yeah, it doesn't. It feels longer to me, and I don't know if that's just I struggle with particular puzzles. I don't know if it's because I barely had any time. But it was one of those things where I didn't. I felt like I've been playing this thing for like 5 hours so far, and like I said, I'm right near the end. I don't know if that's just because I'm exploring every single space that I can.
Trying to pull all the fire alarms, hit all the fire extinguishers.
Yeah, of course I am, because there's a stupid achievement for both of them.
Find all the blueprints. Yep.
Yeah, I
don't even know what they are. Don't know what the constellations are. Don't know what any of these.
I didn't find any blueprints or constellations.
Me either.
Yeah.
I got, I think, 2 achievements by the end, or maybe 3. No, I got 3 achievements, because I got 1 for pulling the first fire alarm. I got 1 for duplicating too many times, and I got 1 for beating it.
I think those were the 3 I got too. I don't think I got any others, which is interesting. But yeah. All right, Musum, any other final thoughts here for Superliminal?
I think it's a really creative game. They have a lot of really fun perspective puzzles, from making objects bigger and smaller to I am just going to line up perspective and it's going to become an object, to You know, the light puzzles you mentioned. It is very much like in that it, it is not Portal by any means, but if there were a puzzle genre based around um, some snarky jokes and experiments and
Right.
possibly a rogue AI that forces you to think of reality in a different way, then this and Portal would be in the same bucket, you know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
they're different games, but if this were the 90s, you could buy a CD-ROM pack with both of them in it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Or it'd
Right.
be like the demo on the cover of like whatever platform magazine you
Right.
pick.
It's Puzzle Month in PC Gamer.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I like this game. Like you guys said, the story could be a little bit stronger. I think it had a kind of cool life advice, like set of points it was kind of building up to. I think they could have done that a little bit better.
Hmm.
And I think, most puzzle games kind of make you use all the puzzle mechanics at once, uh, in them. And
Hmm.
this one never really quite stacks them like that.
That's true.
Which
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe better, maybe worse. But evidently there's a lot more content that I haven't even looked at yet. So,
Oh, okay.
I mean, 10% of achievements, like what the heck are these
Uh-huh.
constellations and blueprints?
Right.
And I know
Yeah.
for a fact there were some early areas where it's like, I'm not sure where to go. I'm going down this hallway. And that turned out to be the right direction. And I have no idea what was in the other half of the map.
Oh, sure. True.
Um, and there were a lot of puzzle areas where it's like, I could probably break this room a little bit more than I am with the mechanics. And part of me wonders if that's kind of the way to find some of that stuff. But um, I really enjoyed it. It was kind of the right amount of time for me. I'm with Moon though. It probably took me 4 or 5 hours, I bet, to beat it. But it's solid. If they ever made a sequel, I'd probably play it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Moon, your final thoughts on Superliminal?
I like it. The issue I have with with it is not an issue with the game; it's an issue with myself, which is it's not a game that I can zone out to. It's not a game that I
Right.
can just. It's not a little to the left. It's not Loop Hero. It's not the things I'm currently playing right now because I don't have the time or the mental bandwidth to get through them.
Hmm.
So it's not one of those games where I can just put it on for 40 minutes and like fly through whatever progress I need to. It
Right.
is, I mean, it is very much for me at least, like I said, the puzzles feel very flow statey, where it's like, okay, I get into the vibe, and then once you get into the vibe, and then you can start traveling through them at some clip, like it becomes really interesting and fast to play that way. But it's that for me, it's hitting those brick walls constantly, where it's just
Mm.
like, oh, now I can clone stuff. What does that mean? What exactly
What
does
do you
that
want
mean?
me to do?
Yeah.
Right.
So, for example, Boston, the red apple and the fan puzzle that we referenced earlier.
Uh-huh.
Somebody cloned the apple so much that it clogged up where that gets blown away, and then just cloned it up the stairs.
Okay.
Because
All
there was so
right.
many of them, it clogged up the wall.
I was wondering if I could
Uh,
do that, which is why I sat there and just like, I'm just gonna flood this room with apples. Let's go. Brute
And
force.
somebody else, there is a fire escape. Sorry, a fire alarm right next to the exit door. And somebody else just cloned those fire because it was at the point where it peels off and falls on the floor
Right.
rather than actually being pulled. Just clone that until it got to the button behind them.
That's pretty clever. I like that.
Like the fact that there is actually alternate solutions to this, and I'm sure there's a bunch of ones that we didn't realize.
Right.
Walking backwards in that locked room into the shadows so you can see the directions and the silhouettes of the things. Like I
Right.
think that's a really cool like solution to an otherwise potentially difficult puzzle.
Hmm.
I mean, I liked it. It's fun. It genuinely has been interesting to play, and it's not a usual puzzle game. I'll say
Yeah.
that. Like this is a very unique concept for puzzle games where it's not often. Yeah, as far as I know, it's never you get a game where the perspective of something changes what the thing is and what it does.
Mm-hmm.
I know The Witness has perspective things. It's a completely different thing to this.
It's a different force perspective where it's like you can only look at this thing, solve the puzzle. Yeah.
So I think it is super unique in the way it does things. Like I said, I just wanted a little bit more story as I'm going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like they could replace the computer voice with the doctor's voice. Just have the doctor talk through the whole thing.
Right.
Because I think putting the female computer voice in there, it calls attention to Paul, and I don't think you need it. I think you can get away on your own merits. You can do on your own strengths. Replace that entire voice dial like lines, maybe a touch of rewriting, because there's an AI thing in there. But replace that whole thing with the doctor's voice rather than the computer voice, and you get rid of the portal references. Like you get rid of the it's a portal for a new generation, blah 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 blah. Chat. I mean, it's fun. I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna probably loop back around and see exactly how long and how much it's gonna take me to get the rest of the achievements. There's one for beating the game in 36 minutes, by the way.
Yeah, that one you got to know that game in and out, and you're just cooking.
Or there's like a shortcut secret ending somewhere.
True. Yeah, there might be one of those. Yeah.
How about you, Boston?
I agree. I really liked it, and I went in sort of maybe grumpy about it that it wasn't Maquette, because apparently I just can't stop confusing those two games together. But I did really like it. I really respect a puzzle game that doesn't overstay its welcome with mechanics. I really like going in and being like, oh, okay, oh yeah, all right. I'm gonna play around with this mechanic. I figure it out. You do a handful of puzzles and you kind of move on. Like, I don't need, now you know, learn how to clone things. 10 hours of cloning puzzles. Like, it really doesn't need. I love the Talos principle. That's very much that game of like, here's a mechanic, here's 40 puzzles for you to go use this mechanic and the 20 other ones you have already, and like layering and getting bigger and bigger. I love that too, but I really love these kind of indie puzzle games that are just, we want to make a puzzle game with a small team. It's 2 to 3 hours. They had a bunch of ideas and we made it, and it's fun. And I really respect that, and I did really like this game too. I agree a lot with what you guys said. Next game here, though, that we're going to play Pacific Drive. Came out on the PS5 and the PC. This is the first-person car driving survival crafting horror thing? ? Join us next week or next month to figure out if that is exactly the game that it seems to be. So that'll be Pacific Drive for our next month. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.